Okay, let's set the scene. It's the summer of 1900 in Brooklyn. We've got Katie Rommely, a 17-year-old factory girl, and Johnny Nolan, a charming, singing waiter. This is the story of how their whirlwind romance kicked off, a love story that would, believe me, echo through generations.
So, how are we going to unpack all this? Well, here's our game plan. We're going to look at this in 5 parts, starting with a pretty intense love triangle and ending with a very complicated beginning. This is really our roadmap to figuring out how Francie Nolan's parents, Katie and Johnny, ever got together in the first place.
All right, so let's get right into it. This whole saga kicks off with, you guessed it, a classic conflict. 2 best friends, Katie and Hildy, and the one boy who stands right between them.
So, let's meet our main players. On one side, we've got 17-year-old Katie Rommely, who's working at the Castle Braid factory. And on the other, there's 19-year-old Johnny Nolan. He's a singing waiter, full of charm, and all the girls think he's a nifty dancer.
But, there's always a catch, right? And here it is. Johnny isn't exactly free. He's already with Katie's best friend, Hildy O'Dair. And Hildy is described as bolder, brassier. Basically, she seems to have Johnny all locked down.
Everything changes on a group trip to a place called Canarsie. Johnny gives Katie just a simple courtesy dance, but for her, it's like a lightning strike. In that one moment, she just knows he is the one, and she decides then and there that she's going to do whatever it takes to be with him.
And here's the thing about Katie. She doesn't just sit around and wish for things to happen. Oh no, she makes them happen. And this is the beginning of her very deliberate, very calculated campaign to win Johnny's heart.
You can just see how methodical she is here, right? Her plan starts small, just making sure she gets a word in with him every day. But it escalates fast. Soon she's faking sick just to get him alone for 15 minutes. And it totally works. They have this huge conversation, finally admit their feelings, but it leads straight to disaster.
Because bam, just as they're connecting, Hildy finds them. She is betrayed, she is furious, and she just screams at Katie. Then she actually lunges at her with a long, sharp hat pin from her sailor hat. It gets so intense that Johnny has to literally throw himself between them to break it up.
So Johnny's cornered. He has to pick, right then and there. And he does. He looks at Hildy and tells her it's over. You go your way, and I'll go mine. Or, as Hildy spits back at him, he'll go Katie's way. And just like that, a love triangle is over.
Now, to really get why Katie has this iron will, you have to understand where she came from. Her home life was this world of insane, almost mythical contradictions, and it was all defined by her mother and her father. First, there's her mother, Mary Rommely, and the book does not use this word lightly. She is described, simply and powerfully, as a saint.
Mary's saintliness wasn't about book smarts. In fact, she was illiterate, couldn't even sign her own name. No, it was about this deep, deep wisdom. She was a living library of stories and folklore. She understood people's flaws with this incredible compassion, and she was fiercely protective of her daughters. And she needed to be, because she genuinely believed she was married to the devil.
And here he is, that devil, Thomas Rommely, Katie's father, a handsome man whose one defining feature was this bottomless, unexplained hatred for everything.
Just look at this list. It paints a chilling picture, doesn't it? He was an absolute tyrant in his own house. He forbade English, but his wife taught it to the girls in secret. He didn't see his daughters as his children. He saw them as money-making assets, and he would use the most awful blasphemy just to torture his deeply religious wife. This is the world that made Katie so tough.
Katie wasn't going through this alone, of course. She was one of 4 sisters, and each one of them found their own remarkable and pretty unconventional way to deal with this upbringing.
Her oldest sister, Sissy. Wow. Her life was just this whirlwind of unbelievable tragedy and passion. She gets married at 14, endures 10 stillborn babies with 2 different husbands, and then moves on to a 3rd. But through it all, she was this total force of nature who just called every man in her life John.
The other 2 sisters found very different ways out. Eliza, who was quiet and plain, she just retreated into the church and became a nun. Meanwhile, Evie was a lot like Katie. She was drawn to a performer and married a guy named Willie Flitman. It seems like the family pattern was either run to God or run to a creative, if maybe not so reliable man.
And that brings us right back to our main story, the end of Katie's campaign and the official, formal start of her new life with Johnny Nolan.
Just think about the sheer speed of all this. From that first dance that changed everything to their actual wedding day, barely 4 months went by. They got married on New Year's Day, 1901.
But their new life starts under this dark cloud. Her father, Thomas, never forgave her. And it wasn't for any moral reason. It was because he saw her marriage as a financial loss. To him, his money-making asset had just been stolen.
So when you look at it, it's just this incredible rapid-fire sequence of events. A dance, a determined pursuit, a violent showdown that ends a friendship for good, and finally, a wedding. Their entire future was sealed in the space of a single season.
And that really brings us to the core question of their whole story, doesn't it? Katie is the daughter of a saint. She carries her mother's strength, her wisdom. But she's chosen a life with a dreamer, a man who sort of echoes the struggles her family already knows so well. This is the legacy she gets, this powerful resilience mixed with immense hardship. And that combination is going to define not just their lives, but the lives of their children too.